Hey, all, NG here, and today I want to talk about something a little bit. It'll probably be seen as a little bit controversial by some people because obviously I am actually being critical for once. But hear me out on this, right, guys? So, for those who don't know, Netflix is obviously a huge streaming service. They make a ton of shows, ton of movies, and occasionally when it comes to shows will get cancelled after a certain number of seasons due to issues with production or just it's just a load of stuff that goes on with film and TV, and TV shows tend to get cancelled after a certain number of seasons. So, with that information out of the way, right? Why am I talking about this? Well, for those that don't know, Netflix recently released a game based on Shadow and Bone, and shortly after that game actually released, they actually cancelled the Shadow and Bone TV show, which was people were expecting it to have another season and for it to have obviously a spin-off show as well. Now, alongside Shadow and Bone, Netflix also made a game based on Queen's Gambit, which they released this year. But the show itself is a mini series that ended 3 years ago. So the question starts becoming like, what is Netflix's goal here? Netflix is making games based on shows that are already over or like are getting cancelled, and I don't understand like what the strategy here is because for those who don't know, oh, making a game on a show and then canceling that show to me is a very questionable strategy because obviously you're literally making a show, then gutting that show from getting another season, and I just kind of felt like Netflix should have just they could have waited. They could have obviously seen how the game performed because obviously it was like less than a week after the game came out. They announced that obviously Shadow and Bone was cancelled, which I thought was just kind of weird. And yeah, I understand that obviously it was an expensive fantasy show, and obviously fantasy shows are quite expensive to make, and obviously Netflix didn't want to make another season, and I do understand all that stuff. Now, what I find a little bit awkward is Netflix obviously cancelled that show, then they also cancel, well, then they also got Game of Queen's Gambit, but then you've got games like what I think it's Netflix Stories Money Heist or Le Casa de Papel, as Ninja characters say. And with Money Heist, the game is obviously coming out in December after the spin-off show called Berlin comes out. Now, whether or not obviously I will say this, I never seen the show, but I know the fact that the original Money Heist show actually ended. So it's just kind of a weird situation. Now, am I against the making shows on games and canceling those shows? No, but I just think it's a little bit weird because you spend all this money and time and energy making a game for or making this product, and then you just cancel the show it's based on, and it's just sort of like, why would you do that? Because obviously you could have potentially had a ton of more interest in the property if you'd kept the show around. But obviously you've decided to cancel the show, so it's just kind of a weird situation all around. Now, do I think Netflix is bad for doing this? No, I don't think Netflix is bad for doing this, but I just think it's a little bit of a weird situation. It also brings up the idea, and also brings up the fact that Netflix needs to make more games that aren't based on its TV shows. Because when it comes to TV shows specifically, TV shows can be cancelled at any moment. Like TV shows, they basically live and die by viewership. Now movies are a lot different. Movies tend to be completed long before there's obviously an adaptation for a game. So movies, I think, are probably a better and a more key long term. But I do think that TV shows need to be sort of slid that back a bit when it comes to adapting them because obviously you can adapt hundreds of shows into games, but those shows will probably be cancelled before the games get out now, which is kind of worrying. Now, Am I mad about this? No, I was never a fan of Shadow and Bone. I was never a fan of Queen's Gambit either. I just find this whole situation just kind of weird, and I question like the longevity of other projects that Netflix are now working on. Now, I think the best way to do this would be to obviously focus on bringing new newer games, obviously based on original IPs, to Netflix. But I'll let you guys decide what you think about this in the comments down below. Do you agree? Do you disagree? Let me know your thoughts. I've been NG, and I'm going to beat this boss, and then I'm going to sign out. And I'm signing out. Make sure you like, share, subscribe. I'll see you next one. Peace.